The TVWAN News is proudly brought to you by
BSP, our bank, our people.
Hello and thanks for joining us for TV1 News. I'm Jumaima Sukbat.
And I'm Jasmine Eru. Join me for sports news later in the bulletin.
In this edition, Warring Clans signed for peace, Coffee Insurance Partnership signed, and Dolphins prep for trials against Kepras. Police have negotiated for a peace agreement between two warring tribes in Jiwaka province. The fight, which began over a stolen pig, has resulted in 5 deaths. Jiwaka Provincial Police Commander Chief Inspector Albert Korin said the fight started on January 4th between Wika and Waka tribes in Nondul. The Waka tribe accused the Wika tribe of stealing a pig, and a fight broke out in which a man from the Waka tribe was killed. Mr. Korin said the Wika tribe refused to surrender the murder suspect, so the tribesmen of the deceased attacked and killed 4 men from the Wika tribe. The BBC said police intervened and arranged a peace mediation team. He said an understanding was reached in signing a peace agreement. However, the Wika tribe leadership want more time to consult its tribesmen. BBC Korin is confident that a date will be set this week for the peace agreement to be signed. After months of coordinating and mediating to restore peace in the Pogera Valley, warring clans have signed a memorandum of understanding to cease fire. This formalizes a verbal commitment between the clans from provoking the tribal conflict again.
Spearheading the Peace Reconciliation Restoring Justice initiative is pleased that after months of facilitating for peace amid tribal fights, the warring clans of Nomali and Ayala have sealed the ceasefire with a memorandum of understanding to end conflicts. The MOU was signed recently in Boabeg, witnessed by government officials, Pogera District Law and Order Committee, individuals from warring and affected clans and community leaders. In mid-July 2022, a tribal conflict between the clans resulted in a large number of unaccounted deaths, which included women and children. At one point during the conflict, 18 people were slaughtered in a space of 2 hours. As a result of the conflict, critical public services like schools, hospital, and the bank ceased operations for their safety. The Pogera Crisis Law and Order Management Committee was established the following month, consisting of representatives from Pogera Chamber of Commerce, Pogera Women in Business, Police, PNG Defense Force, churches and district government officials to facilitate for peace. Community Coordinator Nixon Pakia said the MOU is now effective and stops the warring clans from starting the fight again. Other underlying issues of the conflict will be channeled through the legal and customary systems for the two clans to reach a settlement. Susan Oriape, TV1 News.
5 members of a criminal gang responsible for hurling a grenade that killed 2 men in Goilala were ambushed and killed in a retaliation attack last December. Acting Provincial Police Commander for Central Province, Senior Inspector Peterson Birigi, said the 5 suspects were slain by angry relatives of the bombed victims. The gang, led by criminal Our Pilot, were responsible for various crimes around the Tolokuma area until the villagers raided the village and killed Pilot and 4 accomplices. Acting PPC Birigi said since the closure of the Tolokuma mine in 2017, the neighboring villages lived in fear because of terror imposed on them by the gang. Governor for Central Province Rufina Peter says churches need to help leaders and communities repent and change to help move development forward. Governor Peter believes in this and said so at the recent dedication service for the Central Provincial Government.
We are too comfortable, we take things for granted. But in 2025, we are going to be turning 50 years old. And there are border province people who do not enjoy even a quarter, even 0.1% of what we take for granted. If we can't do it for ourselves, let's get up and do it for those people. So that in 2025, they will know that there is a government that exists. It will be a big shame if by 2025 our border provinces, the most remote provinces, have not seen any government service or presence of government in those areas.
A health center will be built in Kunwa district in the west coast of North Bougainville. ABG Secretary for Health, Clement Tokavun, said this project will be funded by the Asian Development Bank following the successful approval of a proposal for the Kunwa Health Center. Totavun said they prioritized Kunwa due to the lack of adequate government services in the region for a long time. He said the government health center is unable to meet the health needs of the growing population. The ADB team met with the Department of Health and discussed the project schedule and other issues. Tokavun said based on the site assessments, planning and design, the tender for the construction of the facility will be out in May and construction to start in July. The full cost of the project will be met by ADB, including medical equipment. Senior Judge Justice Les Gavaranano has called on the disciplinary forces, including lawyers, magistrates and judges, to discharge their duties with honesty. He made this statement during the 2023 legal year opening at the Marimari Lutheran Church in Port Moresby this morning.
Members of the disciplinary forces, correctional services, police and sheriff personnel, including lawyers, magistrates and judges, took part in the 2023 legal year opening ceremony at the Marimari Lutheran Church in Port Moresby this morning. The ceremony began with a parade from the Reverend Sioni Kami Memorial Church to the Marimari Lutheran Church ground, followed by an inspection of the parade by Senior Judge Justice Les Gavaranano, stepping in for Chief Justice Sergip Salika, who was absent. Justice Les Gavaranano reminded police, CS officers, lawyers, magistrates and judges to stay true to their oaths and discharge their duties with honesty.
Our task is difficult. The year ahead of us is long, treacherous, will be full of challenges. It is up to each one of us to be true to our oaths that we have taken, to be correctional service officers, to be police men and women, to be lawyers. Once you are admitted, you take your oath. And the judges, we must strive to uphold the rule of law and be true to the oath that we have taken.
He said the Constitution must be protected and guarded, adding that the power they exercise belongs to the people of Papua New Guinea.
If we lose focus of our callings to uphold the rule of law, then we will find ourselves in a society where there is breakdown of rule of law, bribery and corruption will prosper. It is therefore our duty that when we are discharging our responsibilities, we must do so with honesty.
The year 2023 will be another challenging year for the judiciary as the judges settle unresolved cases from last year, including election petitions. The judiciary is reminded again to uphold the rule of law and administer justice in strict accordance with the law.
Senior Judge Justice Les Gavaranano said the independence of the judiciary depends on the judges. He reminded judges to make decisions according to the law. Justice Gavaranano was speaking during the 2023 legal year opening ceremony today.
As a judiciary, that we must progress. The independence of the judiciary depends on the judges making decisions which are according to law and which are not motivated or driven by any other requirements or objectives. My humble view is that the judiciary must be competent, so as the police force and the correctional services and the law enforcement agencies. I believe that the judiciary will progress when the judges are competent, experienced, appointed on merit, and they must be appointed on merit. There should not be any other considerations upon which they are appointed. So it is very important for judges being appointed on merit, deserve to be appointed, and once they are appointed, they must perform to the expectations of the ordinary people of this country.
This is TVWAN News. Among stories after the break, Number 1 Super Limited opens Kiunga branch and Amtai Cooperative signed coffee insurance partnership.
With BSP Internet Banking, you can enjoy your banking at home, at work, or wherever you are. BSP Personal Internet Banking allows you to view your accounts and transactions, transfer money, bill pay, schedule future payments, or access your bank statements. Visit your nearest BSP branch to register now. BSP Internet Banking, the smarter way to bank. BSP, our bank, our people.
Whether we're playing sport, exercising for fitness, being active for work or play, just having some fun, or just chilling, there is one name we can count on that we know will keep us going strong. Skell Rice. Healthy, nutritious, delicious medium grain rice full of vitamins and minerals. Skell helps us maintain a healthy, active lifestyle so we can enjoy every day.
Skell Rice. Skell Life.
Open Nets.
Very superstitious. Writings on the wall. When you believe in things, but you don't understand the yourself. Superstition ain't the way.
Axion, the grease stripper, is more powerful than ever before. It is now 100% effective in grease removal. Every concentrated dab is packed with grease and oil stripping power. A breakthrough dishwashing solution. Axion has 100% effective grease stripping power. No oiliness, no bad odor, no struggle. This is the best grease stripping.
want you to win somebody's heart. That's Naren.
I never asked for your help with anything, Dad. Don't impose your expectations.
I'm going to be the one who makes the final decision here.
Welcome back. Local contractors from West New Britain Province were awarded funding for contracts in various projects recently. Officiating for the occasion was Acting Provincial Administrator Leo Mapani. All funding awarded are from the West New Britain Provincial Trust Funds allocations from 2022.
Acting Provincial Administrator Leo Mapmani presented payments to the respective local contractors who will be implementing development projects in the province. Ongoro Construction was awarded a 180,000 kina contract to develop and complete the Mosa High School Hall. Numuna Builders was awarded 100,000 kina to complete the current resource center at CIS Lakimata. And Mandok Building and Contractors was awarded 180,000 kina for the maintenance of 2 NBC staff houses. Speaking on behalf of the contractors was Richmond Hivi from Ongoro Construction.
On behalf of the contractors, we would like to thank once again to West Region Provincial Trust Fund and especially the Governor for facilitating all this project. And that project will be more beneficial to the communities.
Contractor Livingstone Goya of Numuna Builders said with the funding received, him and his team will work to complete Phase 2 of the CIS Resource Center, which will comprise of the ceiling and external and internal wall, which should calculate a cost of about 90,000 kina. This leaves the porch, pulpit and ablution block for the prisoners as another stage for construction as funding will be limited. Director of NBC WNB David Kibito thanked the provincial government for the significant assistance following the MOA between the WNB PG and NBC.
We've achieved a milestone through the arrangement. The MOU we've actually installed and commissioned a 500 watt shortwave medium wave transmitter, which is now in operational and serving the people and the intended purpose. And I would like to say thank you. Another support is through the support in renovation of the DPR's or Director of Provincial Radio's residence. And again, its credit goes to the MOA that's been signed, and the wheels are turning, and I'd like to say thank you.
Mr. Mapmani also presented Philbert Bai from ENH Building Contractors with 300,000 kina for the building of a staff house at Poinini Catholic Agro-Technical Secondary School. Mr. Bai thanked the provincial government for the confidence in his company and gave assurance to deliver the project on time. Maricela Kelleton, TVWAN News.
The CPL Group announced the opening of its newest city pharmacy branch in Kundiawa, Simbu Province. The new branch was opened under a public-private partnership agreement with the Sir Joseph Nombri Memorial Hospital and now provides quality and affordable health care and well-being retail services to the province. City Pharmacy Kundiawa officially opened on Monday, 30th of January, after 8 months of preparation. In attendance was CPL founder Sir Mahesh Patel, Simbu Provincial Health Authority CEO Dr. Francis Wandi, and member for Kundiawa Gembog, Mugua Dilu. Dr. Wandi thanked Sir Mahesh and CPL Group for the establishment of the pharmacy after a long period of time. The people no longer need to travel to Mount Hagen or Goroka for medicine. Mr. Dilu stated that this was a great achievement for the province and urged the people to maintain it. Number One Super Limited today officially opened its Kiunga branch with the support of its members, employees and community leaders from the area. The branch's relocation is part of NSL's continued focus on improving member access to superannuation services in rural centres around the country.
Number One Super Limited officially opened its Kiunga branch today with the support of its members, employers and community leaders from the area. The branch's relocation is part of NSL's continued focus on improving member access to superannuation services in rural centers around the country. NSL CEO Paul Sayer says the Kiunga branch is now conveniently located within walking distance to local schools, government offices, key state institutions and several other businesses which employ many of the Superfund's members in Kiunga. Sayer said it has also been upgraded to accommodate members with 3 counters attended by NSL member service officers, 1 self-service counter for ease of access, and 1 comfortable interview meeting room that provides privacy for members when discussing their superannuation benefits and retirement savings. The CEO added that Kiunga is an important port town that is crucial to the success of one of the country's largest mining operations through its freight and haulage services. NSL expect that as the mine's operations continue to grow, so will the number of opportunities for residents in Kiunga. Sayer concluded by saying that at Number 1 Super, their members are at the core of all that they do, and as such, they aim to continue delivering quality services while managing investments to generate strong returns on members' savings. Maricela Kelleton, TVWAN News.
A farewell luncheon was held at the Department of Information and Communications Technology to farewell interns who had completed a 3-month training program. On Tuesday 14, the interns were certified by the Department of ICT. They came on board under the internship program in November 2022. The students came from the University of Papua New Guinea, University of Technology, University of Goroka and Divine Word University to complete their undergraduate studies. Interns had the opportunity to share with the department management and staff of the experience, including what they have gained. They also made recommendations on how they intend to leverage and move forward in their careers. For the first time ever, the Department of Information and Communications Technology will be hosting the first Pacific Island Information and Communications Technology Dialogue in Kokopo, East New Britain, from 13th to 14th February. The conference will talk about the issues affecting the ICT space and to collaborate in finding solutions to address this in global forums, such as that of the International Telecommunications Union, while expressing such issues such as One Voice of the Pacific. Heads of government ICT agencies in the Pacific will attend the meeting. The meeting leads forwards the Pacific ICT Ministers Forum scheduled to be hosted in Papua New Guinea this March. A 10-year agreement between the Hamtai Coffee Group of Menyama and Agri Assurance was launched on Tuesday at Kapau Rural Elegy in Morobe Province. With coffee set to be Menyama's biggest export, the Hamtai Group aims to ensure their coffee trees against natural disasters.
The Kapau Rural LLG headquarters in Morobe's Menyama district came alive on Tuesday morning with the milestone launching of the 10-year agreement between Hamtai Coffee Group and Agri Assurance Limited. Founder and chairman of Hamtai Coffee Group, Dan Anas, said Menyama has been producing coffee since 1950 with no district, provincial or national government support. Instead of sitting back and begging for support, they have moved another step forward by ensuring their prized commodity. Anas described his vision of coffee production in Menyama as a 100 dream.
Me mangi place, me start pro big push. That's how me kissing 100 demand. Me no go to school. Me no finishing UPNC. That's why me start pro big push na. Me kissing 1+1. You coffee farmers, you that's how you talk na 100 dream ba kama plus kriya. Nagsa dream man bro me. And me connection one time kain man. But me strako na all come out na osa na pro you. Na only look sa vero yosem dream man ba karim kaya after 5 or 10 years na about.
This 10-year agreement from 2023 to 2033 is a first of its kind insurance initiated by an agricultural group, and in this case, the 2,112 coffee farmers of Kapau Rural LLG. Invited to the event was Morobe Governor Luther Wenge, who was reminded of Hamtai's 50 million kina submission to his government in December 2022. In their proposal, the coffee farmers had asked for a coffee mill and their own export company.
Then
Then by start wanting me play by answer him, we will give you a coffee meal. No worries about that, man. That's what you play no producing. That's why license withdraw. Now you play producing enough. I make sure I give you the copy license, export license. Second time. Thank you, Adam.
Wenge is said to include Anas in the Provincial Agriculture Board, while a pastor in Hamtai will be part of the Babafi Trust Program, which is responsible for registering pastors into Morobe's payroll. Salome Vincent, TVWAN News.
Coffee farmers in Meniamia were quite emotional when Morobe Governor Luther Wenge promised to help them export their produce. Speaking at Tuesday's launch of a 10-year insurance partnership at Kapao Rural LLG, Wenge made a commitment to help export the Hamtai Coffee Group's produce directly to international markets.
We will export him coffee as long as CIC outside him clear him. We will buy export him coffee straight to the consumer. Straight to the coffee table for America. Straight to the coffee table for Germany. Coffee for Australia. Why is it export? Now coffee table from Galilee, Lord Jerusalem. Mr. Parliament, Mr. Parliament, you must open him. Papua New Guinea Embassy in Jerusalem. You must open him now. Yes. Now you must come open him. Papua New Guinea Embassy long when we Mosby. So what you listen from Mosby? Karim comes down on lane and me open him. Israel Embassy long lay me. Now on June, we by going to country Israel on the invitation from Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel. We by talk long Israel man, long Galilee, long Nazareth, long Jerusalem, all by drink coffee for you long ante. By travel one to me, you go to Israel, you by start a coffee boat, from the government, coffee boat, actually agriculture boat, and then you by start inside.
The Livestock Development Corporation has its eyes set on restocking the Baya cattle ranch in Western Highlands Province later this year. This comes after the conclusion of a 6-month-long land reclamation and boundary re-identification survey project that was initiated back in 2022. LDC Managing Director Terry Coim was on set to see the final leg of the project on portions 156 and 157. LDC will be looking at rehabilitating the perimeter fence, staff houses, and to erect another ranch infrastructure, including solar-powered water and stockyard to commence restocking of the ranch. LDC will be looking to work with local landowner companies, Mulbaya DDA and Western Highlands Provincial Government. TVWAN News continues after the break. Stay with us.
Experience a convenient and smarter way to do your banking with BSB Mobile Banking. You don't have to leave the office or your home to pay for bills. You can view your account balance, transfer funds, top up phone credits, or purchase Easy Pay units wherever you are. Visit your BSB branch today to register now for BSB Mobile Banking. BSB Mobile Banking, the smarter way to bank. BSB, our bank, our people.
When you're spending time with family, when you've got a big day ahead, when you have given it all you've got, when you're putting on a feast, that's when you want the best. That's when you want flame rice. New flame rice. Win him, Olgeta.
He says the best Hunters players come from his region. So does she. But there's one thing that brings everyone together. SB Lager. Bongum Yumi. Cheers to 70 years.
This should be a warning for you. His heart is already at its limit. He might not be able to survive another attack. He needs an operation as soon as possible, okay?
You should be scared, kid. Because your parents just sold you off to me. So I owe you now.
Wait, you sold Aris to Dante? How could you do that to him? John, how could you do that?
So you want to earn some big bucks, huh? You think you have what it takes?
I do. aboard the Amazing Race charter.
New destinations.
You're going to the Kingdom of Jordan.
New twists.
For the first time in Amazing Race history.
New season.
You're here for a reason, because you're great, so you be great.
The Amazing Race. Season premiere, February 7th at 8:50. Only on AXN.
A journey throughout time that started on February 1929. La Liga is the benchmark competition, receiving global recognition. The championship with the most international titles and the biggest collection of FIFA Ballon d'Or. La Liga is essentially considered by the International Federation of Football History and Statistics as the undisputed global leader in terms of importance since 2010.
Welcome back. First up, Papua New Guinea continues to be considered as one of the most corrupt countries in the world, with a score of 30 out of 100, according to the 2022 CPI report. Interim chairman of the Independent Commission Against Corruption, Thomas Elu, made these remarks during the presentation of the 2022 CPI report presented by PNG on Tuesday.
Interim chairman of the Independent Commission Against Corruption, Thomas Elu, said PNG's CPI score of 30 out of 100 is not only alarming but embarrassing for the country. He said, "We do not want to carry the tag as one of the most corrupt countries in the world, and as such, it is an obligation on every Papua New Guinean to seriously address corruption at all levels of our society." He was speaking during the presentation of the 2022 CPI report by TIPNG on Tuesday. The fight against corruption in PNG started in 2004 when the late great Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare put PNG as a signatory to the UNCAC in Apia, Samoa during the Pacific Island Leader Forum. It was rectified by our parliament in 2007. In 2009, the National Anti-Corruption Strategic Plan was launched and endorsed by the NEC for implementation in 2010. In 2015, the first draft bill for the constitutional amendment against corruption was presented to Parliament for its deliberation, but was shelved due to the 2017 national general election. On November 12, 2020, the organic law on ICAC was eventually passed by Parliament and gazetted on May 18, 2021. Mr. Elu said there is evidence of political will and support from the government to address corruption in PNG. Also recently, the government passed the Whistleblower Protection Act and amended the Proceeds of Crime Act by inserting the unexplained wealth provision. He said these are positive steps taken by the government to address corruption in our country, but there is still a long road ahead to combat corruption, and it requires a concerted effort from Papua New Guineans.
And now to overseas news, as the Reserve Bank considers another interest rate rise next week. A look at superannuation funds shows just how much aggressive hikes have spooked markets so far. Super plummeted for the first time in more than a decade, and there are warnings the recovery isn't imminent.
Nervously checking their super balances after last year's retirement savings went backwards.
It was a significant drop, and I know I discussed with my partner about, how long was this going to be.
In 2022, the average default super fund, which most Australians have their money in, fell by 4.3%. That's the first drop in more than a decade, and the worst return since the global financial crisis. Analysts say that converts to about a $150 billion hit to the nation's more than $3 trillion retirement savings pool.
So much of our superannuation is invested in equities and bonds. When they have a terrible year, it means all of us have a really, really terrible time.
The next couple of years aren't likely to be easy either. While very few economists expect Australia to go into recession, interest rate hikes and a global downturn will affect financial markets and our money in super.
I think over the next 3 years we do think returns will be a bit softer. I don't think negative, but not the strong double-digit returns that we've become a bit used to over the past decade.
This couple is worried they'll have to put off retirement.
I think if we saw some dramatic changes in that the funds were decreasing rapidly, we'd probably rethink again.
Super fund members searching for green shoots of hope.
The Premier warns the state government is ready to make any changes necessary to how the Adelaide Casino is run, pending the outcome of an independent review which is due within days. The probe was launched nearly 7 months ago, with charges since laid against Sky City in the federal court over alleged systematic failures in how it handled anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism laws.
Sky City's Adelaide operations have been under a microscope, and with an independent review commissioned by the state's liquor and gambling regulator due tomorrow, the Premier has a warning.
The government forms the view that Sky City hasn't been operating the casino consistent with a position of integrity, then we stand ready to make any necessary changes.
Former Supreme Court Judge Brian Martin has been looking at Sky City since last July, investigating its suitability to hold a South Australian casino licence. Since that probe was launched, the national financial crimes watchdog AUSTRAC has started court action against the casino following a separate 18-month investigation. It alleges systemic failures in how Sky City handled anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing laws. Court documents describe cash that appeared to have been buried and a customer listed as a meat packer who turned over $85 million.
We expect Sky City to operate with integrity and abide by the law. I believe that the management that is in place is committed to that exercise, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't be subject to serious scrutiny.
Through a statement, Sky City says it has fully cooperated with the independent Martin review and any requests for information, adding continuous improvements to its anti-money laundering, counter-terrorism financing and host responsibility programs is a key priority. As the Premier took questions about the casino, the opposition gathered around a different type of table in Mount Gambier, where MPs met for a strategy session.
I want to be a regional-centric opposition and a regional-centric government. So 7 of my shadow cabinet call regional South Australia home.
A message he's keen to sell in an independently held seat.
Australia's space industry has seen rapid growth in recent years. As more satellites are sent into orbit, a new antenna in southern Tasmania is keeping a watchful eye on the traffic in the skies.
As the antenna rotates, it carefully tracks a satellite on its orbit around the Earth. It's not just watching, it's talking to them as well.
This is a new antenna that's going to build on Australia's deep expertise in tracking satellites, communicating with satellites, and in fact is the southernmost antenna of this kind in the world.
As well as receiving transmissions from spacecraft, the facility can transmit commands to them. It also can track the position of satellites by sending a signal from the new antenna, which is reflected to other observatories.
There's orbiting satellites, there's old rocket bodies. We want to make sure they don't impact each other, because if they were to impact each other and cause damage, that could impact the vital services we rely on every day.
Since 2017, the number of satellites orbiting Earth has grown from 2,000 to 5,000. Having the ability to communicate both up and down will help this to further expand.
That two-way is really critical if you want to control the spacecraft, so it's great for working with Australian space industries who are looking to put new assets up there and develop new technologies and things like that.
In the skies above Tasmania, there's about 2,000 satellites orbiting the Earth at any one time, and that number's rising rapidly, adding to the risk of collisions. Having improved communications technology like this will help to make space a safer place for everyone.
Coming up next in sports with Jasmine, Dolphins look at lineup for trial match against Capras this weekend, and New Zealand get double victory at HSBC Sydney Sevens. But first, here's the weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
He says the best Hunters players come from his region. So does she. But there's one thing that brings everyone together. SP Lager. Bongum Yumi. Cheers to 70 years.
I came from the remote part of Eastern Highlands. I have seen the laboring mother somewhere on the road coming to the nearest aid post to deliver a baby. And on the way, somehow, either the mother or the baby passed away.
We saw that his work was really specific in trying to find solutions to the problem. Oh, Tommy!
My wife, she's a midwife, and she said we have to build up a waiting hut so that we can accommodate those marginalized pregnant mothers. We all have a weakness and strength, and we must all hand in hand and then support so that we have a good community to live in.
Ratu looking good, goes one-handed, connects with Matawalu in turn for Rumvolvo. Only back beautifully, this one goes wide and not missing.
Meet the Mecha Builders.
Okay, Mecha.
Mecha Abby, Mecha Elmo, and Mecha Cookie are here to save the day.
Hello. Go.
There's no problem too small.
Go, Mecha Smaller.
Or too big.
We did it! We solved the problem.
Mega big, mega bigger, mega giant. Catch the brand new show, Mecha Builders. Weekends, 12 p.m. on Cartoonito, part of Boomerang.
Hello again and thanks for staying with us on TV1 News. In sports, the finale is near for the private company's netball competition for season 2022 to 2023. Outstanding teams will go head-to-head this Saturday, the 4th of February. On the 11th, the top 4 playoff 1 takes place, followed by top 4 playoff 2 playoff 2 on the 18th of February. The private company's netball competition will go out with a bang as the top 4 teams go head-to-head in grand final of season 2022 to 2023. Outstanding games will be played this Saturday, the 4th of February. On the 11th of February, top 4 playoff 1 takes place, while 18th of February will have top 4 playoff 2. For the final ladder updates, Premier's More Printing 1 in first place, BSP 1 in second place, Post Korea in third, and NSL 1 in fourth place. In Division 1, Pacific Industries in first place, Theodist in second place, third is Kenmore 1 and Kina Bank in fourth place. In Division 2, Pride Furniture for first place, Marsh who is in second place, Bishops in third place, and BSP 2 sitting fourth. PCNC President Julie Mai expressed gratitude to all teams who have participated this season. She said next week is set for outstanding games. Mai anticipates that teams have plans for the playoffs happening in 2 weeks' time. She expects that teams now know their qualified players and any dispute of players during playoffs may result in penalties applied. The Scale Rice-sponsored Central Dabari's 9th tournament has completed its zone games. The event concluded with the Goilala leg over the weekend. 3 teams from each zone have been confirmed to go into the round-robin playoff, which has been scheduled for the weekend of February, the 15th, the 16th, and the 17th at the Bava Park. According to Tournament Director Mickey Kone, winners and first runner-ups got gold passes and wildcards for a third-best outstanding team from each zones. 16 other teams that accumulated more points for and against during pool games will then proceed to the qualifiers for quarter and semi-finals to decide the 2 grand finalists for 2023. 15,000 kina is up for grabs. A 28-player development squad will be announced after the finals, each representing East and West Central to challenge the Dabaris train-on squad for the 2023 season. Fans will get their first chance to see the Dolphins in action this Saturday with coach Wayne Bennett naming the club's first trial team. The 22-player squad, which was announced to players at the training session earlier this week, will travel to Marley Brown Oval in Gladstone to take on the Central Queensland Capras on Saturday night.
This will be the first appearance of a Dolphins NRL team ahead of their official competition debut next month against Sydney Roosters at Suncorp Stadium. The Capras, who play in Queensland's Host Plus Cup, are an affiliate team of the Dolphins and have players taking part in train and trial opportunity at the club, with Tyler Zepanowski and Lachlan Hubner both named to play for the Dolphins. The PNG Hunters also have a strategic pathway partnership with the Dolphins NRL franchise. Judah Rimbu, Roderick Tai and Sherwin Tanabe are in the squad. While many of the players predicted to be part of their Round 1 lineup have not been named, there is still plenty of interest in this Saturday's lineup. Tongan wonderkind Isaiah Katoa, who featured at the recent Rugby League World Cup, will be the first player to don the number 7 halfback jersey, while players with NRL experience include JJ Collins and former Brisbane Bronco George Fai in the front row. The side will be coached by assistant coach Nathan Fian. Salome Vincent, TV1 Sports.
New Zealand romped to victory in both the women's and men's finals of the HSBC Sydney Sevens to increase their leads at the top of the HSBC World Rugby 7 Series 2023 standings. It is the first time the teams in black have achieved such a tournament double since Hamilton in 2020.
The Black Ferns Sevens beat France 35-0, while the men improved slightly with a 38-0 victory against South Africa for their first cup title of the 2023 series. New Zealand and South Africa met for the 25th time in a cup final, but this was easily the most one-sided of the contests as the All Black Sevens eased to a 38-0 win. After a couple of early errors, New Zealand didn't look back once Roderick Solo beat 2 defenders and scored with his first touch of the ball. Playing at high tempo, New Zealand continued to dictate the pace of the game, and South Africa's cause was not helped by the loss of Impivisa to injury. The penalty count was also swinging heavily against the blitz box, and New Zealand ended the half with 2 further tries. The teams turned around with New Zealand leading 17-0, and it wasn't long before they increased their advantage through Aquila Rokolisoa. When the next opportunity came his way, Rokolisoa slid over the damp Alliance Stadium pitch for New Zealand's 4th try. By now, the blitz box were well and truly beaten and staring their first cup final defeat in quite some time, having won the previous 8. Amanaki Nicole spun out of a tackle as New Zealand rubbed salt into the wounds, and then Weber crowned a fine display by setting up Ngarohi Megavi Black with a well-placed kick ahead. In winning 38-0, it was the first time New Zealand had kept South Africa scoreless in 9 years. Salome Vincent, TV1 Sports.
And that ends the sports segment. Jemima?
Thank you. Before we go, remember to apply the following simple measures to prevent transmission of the coronavirus. Regularly wash your hands with soap and water. Cough or sneeze into your elbow, and exercise social distancing. If you are feeling sick, please stay at home. You can also call the COVID-19 hotline number for more information or assistance. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
The TVWAN News was proudly brought to you by BSP, our bank, our people.